Him getting slapped just fired up that you furnace.
His wife was her son's friend.
Has Will Smith's slap awakened a beast in Chris Rock? Because if what Joe Rogan says here is true, it's brought back a vicious ruthlessness to his comedy that's about to kick the Hollywood establishment into its grave. Subscribe to Elites Exposed for more, and tell me if you're reading this the same way.
I just saw him play at the O2 Arena a couple of weeks ago, and it was the funniest I've ever seen him, which is unbelievable.
On fire right now. He's on fire right now. Him getting slapped, and then him trying to go back to comedy and seeing Will Smith like just meltdown in front of him. And like generally that moment was probably the end of how anybody will ever think of Will Smith again as this movie star guy who's like this happy guy with this family who's like putting together all these incredible films and goes on to win the Academy Award that night, goes on stage and they applaud him after he just assaulted one of the greatest comedians that's ever lived over the most innocuous roast joke. The most innocuous. You know, I loved you in G.I. Jane. Like, what? That's it? It's so mild. And I think him seeing that just fired up that you furnace.
And that furnace is about to bring down Hollywood's illusion of a moral superiority, because that illusion was the last leg that the industry stood on, only to collapse under its own moral weight after an absolute servile reaction to Will Smith's attack on stage. Because Joe's right, Will Smith will never be looked at the same ever again, and neither will the Academy. And I think it's pretty clear by how the more Will Smith attempts a comeback, the more subject matter he gives to the world of comedy to just roast his career into a laughingstock.
Will, he did not slap The Rock. He slapped Chris Rock. He ain't you. You slapped the wrong person, you get your ass killed. The Rock used to wrestle. He'd choke it. We put his ass to sleep. He put him to sleep. Oh, like go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep. Go to sleep, Will.
We know this is a special night for you. We want you to have fun. We want you to feel safe. And most importantly, we want me to feel safe. So we have strict policies in place. If anyone in this theater commits an act of violence at any point during the show, you will be awarded the Oscar for Best Actor and permitted to give a 19-minute long speech.
Just do these three things. Pay your taxes, mind your business, and keep Will Smith's wife's name out your mouth!
Like, Hollywood is just spineless, en masse. And it really felt like, oh, this is a really clear indication that we're not the cool club anymore.
Except here's the blunt truth that's impossible to deny now in hindsight. The reason that Will Smith's life has become an absolute clown show right now, while Chris Rock's career reaches new highs every year, is because both of these guys made one decision differently at the earliest crossroads of their career. For Will Smith, that guy's entire life is an ode to the industry establishment. I mean, you watch even the earliest comedy bits from him or the so-called rap music he used to do, and you realize how desperately Will Smith offered himself up as a brand-safe and corporate-approved version of what white America wanted to see in a black artist, especially just a couple decades after the civil rights movement. In other words, he wanted to be part of the club, the same inner Hollywood club that demands you neuter any rebellious and masculine instinct that may eventually become a threat to them, their system, or their depravity.
Those people, those Hollywood people, are crazy. They're all in this weird, bizarre cult of actors and Oscars and parties and applause and this very bizarre, disconnected world.
That's when Will Smith decided he would turn himself into a darling of the establishment, playing a domesticated and harmless version of both what a comedian should be and what a hip-hop artist should be. And he made sure neither of those roles would ever rub up against the powerful industry elite that sustained him. Worse yet, he did that while his contemporaries like Richard Pryor and Eddie Murphy in the 80s were speaking truth to power and making America squirm in its seats, laughing uncomfortably at the most explosive truth bombs in their punchlines. Then in rap, this Fresh Prince character played a bubbly, TV-friendly image of black music, winning Grammys for stuff like Parents Just Don't Understand, while the likes of Dr. Dre, Ice Cube, and Tupac were using rap to tear apart systemic racism and the corporate establishment that profited from it. I think that latter category is where Chris Rock belongs. That's his anti-status quo archetype, and that's been Chris Rock's entire appeal. Because in the 90s, with specials like Bring the Pain and Bigger and Blacker, he was pinching America's most painful wounds with his comedy and paying the price for it. I mean, you watch some of that stuff back and it feels like a jolt all over again as he offends both the left and the right in this country. He'd speak hard truths about what's wrong with Black America, and in the same breath talk about stuff like the Columbine incident and pick apart the NRA. That's the archetype Will Smith could never be, and I think he festered a kind of resentment for never having escaped the establishment's puppet strings. Except with the slap, Will Smith breathed a new life into Chris Rock and brought back the same viciousness to his comedy, now directed straight towards Will Smith.
Because everybody knows what the happened. Everybody that really knows I had nothing to do with that shit. I didn't have any entanglements. I did not have any entanglement. And then for people that don't know, and everybody know, his wife was her son's friend, okay? Now, I normally would not talk about this shit, but for some reason, these put that shit on the internet. She hurt him way more than he hurt me, okay? Okay? And by the way, he does that shit. Everybody in the world called him a bitch. I tried to call the mother and give him my condolences. He ain't pick up for me. Everybody called that man a bitch. Charlemagne called him a bitch. The Breakfast Club called him a bitch. And The View and The Talk and every rapper and the Drink Champs called him a bitch. Everybody called him a bitch. They called his wife a predator. Everybody called him a bitch.
That's why I say both Chris Rock and Will Smith felt humiliated in their own ways on that Oscars night. But one turned it into fuel for the greatest comeback in comedy, while the other became the corniest man alive and the greatest comedic punching bag I can remember. Because yes, in a sad attempt at owning that Oscars slap to redeem some of his lost aura, watch this absolute cringe fest of a freestyle rap that Will Smith put out, trying to rub that moment in Chris Rock's face.
If you talking crazy out your face up on the stage and disrespect me on the stage, expect me on the stage.
I just bite off more than I can chew, then I chew it. Yeah, y'all jokers thought I blew it. I pulled the pin out the grenade on purpose when I threw it. And even though I'm an action star, sometimes I'ma act bizarre. Cause I'm an artist at heart. I'm not just an actor, y'all. This is the bounce back. Watch Will, y'all. This is the bounce back.
And that, to me, is the funniest and saddest thing at the same time. But Will Smith found out the hard way that you can't just start rap beef for some clout and get away with it. So watch here how dissing Eminem became the last mistake that Will Smith made in his phony rap career, and subscribe to Elites Exposed for more.